Hey there, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mia and I am the maker behind Knit and Grace. And today we are just going to have a little bit of a chatty podcast video. I was planning on putting out a challenge video today. So, you know, like the different knitting challenges that have been going around, like, you know, how much can I knit in an hour or a day or whatnot. And I was actually going to try to knit a hat in a day. And then I had a little bit of an accident yesterday, and unfortunately I took a slice out of my finger and I had to get some stitches, and unfortunately I will not be able to knit with my left pointer finger, which I do knit continental, and also probably what would allow me to finish a hat in a day because I am a pretty speedy knitter. But my finger is out of commission for 2 weeks or so, so I will be knitting English, albeit very slowly and taking a lot of breaks, because even the little bit of knitting that I have done since yesterday, my finger does get tired out a little bit. So that video, I was really trying to put it out for, you know, the Christmas holiday, because we are in the last minute sort of stages of the holiday. It's about 2 weeks away. And I wanted to sort of challenge myself to be able to knit a hat in a day to see if it could be done, which I think it can be, and if not a day, maybe 2 days, for any last minute gifts that you might have. But alas, I will not be able to film the video. I'll still probably film it once my finger is better, just to, you know, just to see if I can do it. But instead, I'm going to bring you a little bit of a podcast video. I don't have too much to share, so I was really planning on filming this at the end of the month, or a little closer to the end of the month, to put out at the end of the month when I'm going to be away. But I will be filming this and putting it out tomorrow. Hopefully today is Sunday, so hopefully it uploads to YouTube on time. And then I am going to do sort of changing track on what I was going to do for my next video. I'm going to do a quick sewing gift video that I'm going to plan on prepping for tonight, and then hopefully filming during the week, this week when I have some natural light, so that I can put that out next weekend for you all. But let's go ahead and dive in, because I have been acquiring quite a bit of yarn lately. So I guess first I'll show you the yarn that I was actually going to use for that challenge video. I picked up the Two of Wands Hue and Me when I was at Joann the other day, and I had actually originally picked up this color. So I picked up this color, which is a really nice, just like rosy gold, dusty pink color. And what is the name of the color? It is called Love Song. And yeah, so I had picked this up because I was like, okay, well, definitely if I'm going to knit a hat in a day, it has to be bulky weight yarn, right? And so I had picked up this color, and then I was looking up different patterns because I wanted to be able to use a free pattern also as part of the challenge, although I do have a few patterns in my pattern library that would work for the work for this yarn as well. But this yarn is a 80% acrylic, 20% wool, and so I was looking for patterns that would fit this, and I had actually started knitting the hat that I was gonna originally use, but I really wasn't liking the pattern, and I didn't think it was super beginner friendly. So then I actually saw the Trio Toboggan pattern that is from Two of Wands, and it was designed for Hue and Me. And so that pattern calls for 3 different colors, and it is a simple color work hat. And so I actually had ended up ordering yarn for my husband to pick up, because he actually works near the Joann, which is about half an hour from our house, so it's easy for him to like pick things up for me last minute. And so then I picked up these other 2 cakes. So these are the 3, And so actually, let me see, this one is, I think, Bellini. I have too much yarn in my hand. So this one is Rosewater. And then this one is Bellini. And when I was looking at them online, they definitely looked a little bit more distinct in color than they actually are. They still are pretty close in color, as you can see, but I still think that that's enough distinction, because essentially the way the pattern is worked is like one of the colors is actually the brim and the pom-pom, and then the other color is actually the one that is in the color work of the main hat. So my plan is for the hat when I make it are going to be these two for the color work. So Bellini, no, Rosewater and Love Song for the color work of the hat, and then Bellini is going to be the pom-pom and the ribbing. So those are three of the yarns I recently acquired, and I believe that the way that the pattern is written is that you can like sort of interchange the colors and make 2 or 3 hats from the 3 hanks of the yarn, which I think it'll be cool. So I'll probably end up gifting one away once I do make that. But that was a recent purchase that unfortunately now won't be able to be knit up for a little bit, just because it is for a planned video. But some other purchases, I will go to my KnitPicks purchase. So first up, I have some gloss here, and this is in the masala colorway. I think it's picking up a little bit more orange than it is. It's a lot warmer and a lot more pumpkin in person. Let me see. Yeah, it's still picking up pretty orange. It's a little bit more muted than what it's appearing on camera. But this is actually for a test knit for my friend Magali of the Knit Yorker. So she recently designed a t-shirt that she is currently test knitting, and she asked me to test knit for her. So I got enough of the gloss, and she did design it with gloss in mind. And this one is a 70% merino, 30% silk. It is super, super soft. It is hand washed, dry flat, and it's just so luscious. I love this. This feels so nice, especially for a bargain yarn. It's just delicious. But I got enough of this to test knit the top for her, and that's actually probably gonna be the last test knit that I work on for a while. I think in 2021, just with everything that was going on, I got very excited about test knits, and I only sign up for test knits that I'm very excited about. I will say that. Like, the test knitting process is a very intense process. You know, people think that, oh, well, I'm just going to test knit something so I can get a free pattern, and that's really not how it works. When you're test knitting, it's actually work. You know, not only are you working up the pattern within a certain amount of time, but you're also needing to give the designer back feedback on a regular basis, especially across how things are fitting for different sizes, which is why, you know, designers test their patterns, because it's like, you know, you have your standard sizing grade that you do for patterns, but sometimes things may not work for different sizes that will work for other sizes. Also, just sometimes your, you know, the way that you think that instructions are clear may not necessarily be clear to others. So the testing process is really important for designers, and something to be taken very seriously. And this year I pretty much only knit test knits for the greater part of the year, and I really enjoyed every test knit that I was in. However, I think that with everything that was going on this year, and especially in the fall since September, my life has just been super hectic, and unfortunately my mental health has taken a little bit of toll with my anxiety. I suffer from anxiety, and my anxiety has been through the roof, to the point where I kind of get in a you know, when I get so anxious that it's even beyond fight or flight, I get into like a freeze mode. So I've been in this like sort of state of not being able to do anything, and I really have not been knitting at all until very recently. Again, I really lost my knitting mojo because it was just like I was just dealing with too much. It's like when I would sign off from work, I was just kind of like a zombie. And I think that in 2022, I'm really going to take it a little bit slower in terms of my knitting, and probably, well, not slower in terms of probably the amount of projects that I make, but really just not having to hold myself to the deadlines of test knitting. And I still buy patterns from designers. And that's probably what I'm going to focus on in 2022, just because I do have a large sorry about that. My cat has decided to play with the hanger. Where was I? Yeah, so not only because I have a large stash, but I do have a number of patterns that I do want to knit up in the near future. So I really want to just focus on, not necessarily that test knitting is not pleasurable because I love the objects that I make, but a little bit more pleasurable knitting where I can have maybe a few projects going on at once depending on what I'm feeling like, and really take a little bit of a slower time with regard to my knitting. So that turned into a really long rant about that yarn. But I think I got like 5 skeins. I don't remember how many skeins I needed for my size, but I got enough for my size of the, what is it, the gloss. And I did place another order, partially because I wanted the free shipping, and also because I did love this color, and I loved working with this yarn when I worked with it for my high desert yoke, and so I wanted to buy this yarn actually for the Honey and Wool pullover by Andrea Mowry that has been in my queue and in my library for a while now. When she had a sale a few months back, I forgot why she was having the sale, I actually bought that one along with the Weekender, which I spoke about in my Rhinebeck haul. And so I bought some yarn with that project in mind. So I bought the palette, which is the fingering weight, and this is the color Autumn Heather. And so, oh, this is actually showing up really nicely on camera. That's pretty accurate. And so this is a 100% wool, if I remember correctly. Yep, this is 100% Peruvian wool, hand washed, dry flat. So I think it's just a 2-ply, but it's just a really nice fingering weight, and it's really soft, and I got enough of this to make the wool and honey. So that was my KnitPicks order. And then I think I have one more yarn which actually goes with one of my whips for a Joanne yarn that I bought. Let's see. Sorry, you guys keep seeing the top of my head. But yes. So I think you all may remember, or if you don't, I'll link the video below, but in my fall knitting plans videos, I talked about wanting to make the triangular triangles wrap, the Pearl Soho pattern, and I had bought Barocco Providence, I think is the name of the yarn. So I think I had bought the Barocco Providence, and I had bought enough for the wrap, and I actually started the wrap, but I was not liking how it was working up. It is a DK weight yarn, but it is a thick and thin, and so it's really meant to be held like double, I feel like, with their Ariel, which is their mohair, and knit up on a larger gauge, because the way that it was knitting up on a DK gauge was just not working for me. And so I actually ended up picking up some yarn, or having my husband pick up some yarn last minute at Joanne one day when he was on his way home. And typically I wouldn't work with 100% acrylic yarn, but I wanted to try this one out, And then part of the reason why I also bought this one was because this is a gift. So I very rarely gift my knits, and really when I do, there's really a very small handful of people that I will gift my knits to. And this is someone who I've not gifted a knit to before, but it's our aunt, and I really wanted to make this wrap for her. But because part of my hesitation with the Providence also is that it is a hand wash, non-superwash yarn. And you know, seeing as I've never knit anything for her before and she tends to just throw everything in the washing machine, I actually ended up deciding to buy a acrylic yarn just to see how it felt, but also just because of the washability. So I got this Feels Like Alpaca, which is a Lion brand yarn, and it's in the color Rust. And this one is not only machine wash, but it's also tumble dry. And so this is the way that the yarn is. It's actually appearing pretty good on camera. It's actually extremely soft. I was surprised. It does feel like you're knitting with alpaca yarn, I will say that. The only thing is that they did recreate the halo of alpaca yarn, but they went a little overboard. Like, alpaca definitely has a halo, but not to the extent that this yarn halos. So I'll actually go ahead and show you one of the whips that I have today. And so this is the triangular triangles wrap. So I'm about halfway done with it. I like that it's just gets smaller as you knit it. So as you see, you start with the largest amount of stitches and you decrease every round so that it ends up being a triangle. And then it has all these other triangles in the middle here. So it's like really pretty. I love this wrap. And I had actually intended on knitting something different for my mom. I was going to knit her the Ashby wrap, but by Layla Robb, I think. But I wasn't liking the way that it was working up in the yarn that I had bought. So I'm actually thinking about ordering some alpaca, maybe some actual alpaca, because I know my mom won't felt the wrap, and making this again. Like, this knit has been such a meditative knit, and this is about a week's worth of knitting for me. So it knit up really quickly, and I haven't been able to knit on this since Thursday. So no, this was like 4 days worth of knitting for me. So it's knit up really quickly. It's very meditative. It's very repetitive. And I think, to be completely honest, this is the reason why I kind of got out of my knitting funk. One of the manifestations of my anxiety is I do get mild OCD, and I start having compulsions. And I think the pattern repeats and the having to count over and over, which used to be one of my compulsions, it's not so much anymore, has really helped me. And this really helped me just get out of my head. And I was knitting this like literally for like 4 days straight, like nonstop. Like, I would wake up and knit. I would sign on to work, and then it would be like, I would take my lunch break and knit, and then I would sign back on to work, and then as soon as I signed off of work, I would knit for the rest of the night. So this really helped me sort of get back in my groove, and this really became a meditative project for me. And I think that I'm going to make another one for my mom for Christmas, which she'll get late. But I think that that's what I'm going to do for her. So this one will probably be done in time for Christmas, because I'm hoping my finger will be okay in the next week or so. I wouldn't want to knit this English because it's a lot of purling involved. but this is a whip that I have going. Okay, so that is that. The other whip I have for you all is actually, I'll show you the Amara test knit that I was working on that unfortunately I was not able to finish. Let me grab that, it's a little far. Okay, so I have the Amara test knit here. I just need to take a sip of my tea. I'm drinking some decaf chai today. But unfortunately, I just wasn't able to finish my Amara test knit. By the time I made some progress on it, and I did make some progress on it very last minute, I then realized that I wasn't going to have enough yarn. So, and I ordered the yarn from Webs. So I had to order some more. This is the first time I haven't been able to finish a test knit, which unfortunately, it really kind of, I really felt, and I do feel extremely bad about. But I was able to knit the body. Let me see. Hold on. And then this is the, it has a split hem in the back. So I was able to finish the body, and now I just need to finish the collar and the 2 sleeves, which are knit brioche. So I was planning on finishing this before our trip so that I can, this will be like sort of a Christmas sweater for me. I love this color. This color is just absolutely gorgeous. And the sweater is absolutely gorgeous. And I really see myself wearing it with like black high-waisted jeans and some booties, which is how I plan on styling it. But I have ordered the yarn, so it should be here any day now. But I don't think it's going to be done in time for the holiday, but, well, our holiday trip. We are actually leaving for Arizona on the 23rd. So I do plan on taking it with me. And this will probably be a good plain knitting because it's just brioche the rest of the way for the sleeve and the and then the collar is just 1x1 rib, I believe. So I am going to be planning on finishing this up on the plane, and it'll be kind of like my Christmas sweater. But I was really bummed about not being able to finish this on time. Like I said, it's the first time I've not finished a test knit on time. And the yarn that I used for this was Barocco Ariel, and I think the color was copper, but it was held triple. And so this is how much I have left, and that's really only enough, definitely for the neck and maybe one of the sleeves, but definitely not both of the sleeves. So I had to order another 3 balls. So that is another whip. And then the last whip that I have, I'll actually get into in a second because I have a lot more yarn to show you all. So I recently discovered Melody Hoffman. So her YouTube channel is Mandarins, and she is the Mandarins on Instagram. So I recently discovered her channel, and I have been obsessed. Like, I have been watching it nonstop. I have been going back over the years and watching her videos. They're just so calm. There's something that really helped me during this time where I was having really high anxiety. Just her voice is so soothing, and the way that she films her vlogs is just so soothing, and it just really made me want to make again. And so I actually did become one of her patrons on Patreon, and I have been watching her videos, and she has an obsession with Plotulopi, which is an Icelandic unspun, and I'm like, oh, okay, that looks really nice. Her knits just look very like rustic, but also very feminine, which I love. Like, I think that as the years have gone on, I've been leaning more toward minimal patterns that are sort of more timeless, and then occasionally I do have a little bit of pop of color or something like that. But I think that, you know, just even with my normal wardrobe, I really have been leaning toward very classic basic pieces, and that's what I tend to wear the most. So I find that when I make things that are more like of accent pieces, I guess, I do get wear of them, but not as much. And I have been working on filling my wardrobe with more kind of those like staple pieces, you know, case in point, like my Babe slip over that I'm wearing right now. I sort of knit a few just very basic tees and things also over the summer, and just having just those basic items that I can reach for over and over again. And so that is something that really appealed to me with her patterns and also with her channel. And then so I've been thinking about it in the back of my mind, and the thing is that a lot of Plotulopi has actually been out of stock at a lot of US stockists for a very long time because of like the sheep shearing issues this year because of COVID. So a lot of it has been out of stock in the States. So I was just like, okay, well, eventually I'll like, you know, I'll find some yarn and, you know, it'll come back in stock and I'll make something. And so she recently put out her Wild Posey collection, the jumpers as well as the hat. And I got my booster shot this week, so this past Monday, and I actually had a pretty bad reaction, not because of the booster shot itself, but apparently I had forgotten that I had gotten some of my adult boosters late last year, so I had gotten too many vaccines in a year's time. So I was kind of having like this fever, haze, craziness, and in this crazed fever that I was having, apparently I decided that I was going to do some midnight shopping because I was midnight, and I was like, well, you know, I'm getting my year-end bonus soon, I deserve this. And I was just like, let me find out where I can get this yarn. And I found it, and I forget the name of the company. It's like the Icelandic store or something like that. If I'm wrong, I'll correct it below. But they have a huge stock of Plotulopi, and I decided to order it. And it was very reasonably priced. Unfortunately, the shipping was $30, but I got my yarn in 2 days, like literally 2 days, so it was totally worth it. And I got a lot of yarn, like a lot. And I think I might get some more, which I'll tell you why in a moment. So essentially I was like, okay, well, in my fever haze, I was like, well, if I'm getting enough yarn, if I'm gonna buy yarn from Iceland, I might as well buy enough for several projects. So I got enough yarn to make the Wild Posey jumper, the Wild Posey hat, and her Aido wrap that she published in Lane magazine a few years ago. And I think I placed my order, like it was like quite literally like Tuesday, or yeah, it was like Tuesday or it was Wednesday midnight, so Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So it was like midnight, so it was technically already Wednesday, our time, local time. And because of the time difference, the yarn like literally shipped like 3 hours later, because of course, you know, Iceland is ahead of here. I'm in New York. And then it was like in the States the same Wednesday, by Wednesday night. And then I think the DHL hub is in Ohio, and then I had it in my house on Friday like afternoon, which is like crazy. Like it made its way from Ohio to New York in like no time, which I was just like, if USPS could be this amazing, I mean, they wouldn't have a bankruptcy problem. But I still can't believe that I got yarn from Iceland in 2 days, and I can't ship a package to New York in 2 days, which is ridiculous. But all that to say, I got way too much yarn. And I'll show you the yarn and I'll show you the whip. So this is the yarn, well, part of the yarn that I got, and these are going to be the colors for the Aido wrap. So I got the same exact colors as she used for her wrap, with the exception of the white. So everywhere, including there, the 1038, which is the ivory beige, has been sold out. So I subbed that with the actual white. And then I don't remember the name of all the other colors. But I know this one is Oatmeal Heather, because this is the one that I got for the Wilds Posey jumper, which I'm kind of regretting, but I'll tell you about that in a second. So yeah, so these are the ones for the Aido wrap. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plates, and so it comes in plates. And what I liked about this is because I know most people, when they get their Plotulopi, it's wrapped in plastic. Mine wasn't wrapped in plastic. It was just like they literally just put all the plates in a box, which I think next time I might see if I can order a color card, or I might make a color card for myself, because otherwise I'm like, I don't know what color is which just looking at it, because it didn't have a tag. It was literally just like this in a box, which I appreciate from a sustainability perspective, but also I'm like, can I have a tag please, so I know what colors they are? So that's those colors, and I'll put the colors in the description down below, because I don't remember the colors other than the one that I know that this one is white, and I know that this one is Oatmeal Heather. These are the only two I know. So then in this basket, I have another 6 plates of the Oatmeal Heather. And so the size, I'll be making the fourth size, which calls for 5 plates. But it is quite cropped, and I think I'm going to want to wear it with my high-waisted jeans as well as with skirts and dresses. So I'm going to lengthen it a little bit. So I probably should still be okay with 5, because I tend to shorten sleeves because I am shorter. But I just got an extra one just in case. Also, something that I thought was very interesting, I think that they literally just have like large quantities of Plotulopi, and then they themselves plate it up. Because when I got my 7, because it was 7 total, right? Because I already showed you the one. When I got my 7 plates, they were all connected. And so I actually had to go through myself and kind of tear them apart. So like you see, this one kind of has yarn guts everywhere. So I thought that that was like cool. But this yarn is like so nice. It's so rustic. Even though it's very rustic, it's not super rough, or maybe I've gotten used to it as I've been knitting with it. When I first started knitting with it, it was definitely feeling a little bit rough, but now I'm used to it. It smells so good. It smells like sheep. My husband is like, it smells like a barn in here. But it smells so good. So I got 6 of these for the Wild Posey jumper. Now, here's the thing. Of course, because when you're ordering online, you don't know what the colors are. Like, I feel like this episode is going to be so long. I'm already at 30 minutes. Ugh. I hope you guys are enjoying this episode. So this is the Oatmeal Heather. And then I don't remember what color this is. But you see, this one will be a little lighter. And so from my understanding, the ivory beige is somewhere in between the white and this one. And when I was looking at this color, and again, I'll have to put the color on the screen, I think this is like ash heather. It was looking very gray on the screen. which is why I didn't use this or think I wanted to use this one for my Wild Posey. And this one was looking a little lighter than it is in person. So this one actually on the screen looked a little bit more like this one, which the ivory beige I think even might be a little too light for me. I don't tend to wear white things. So this is something, I think this is a color that I would actually wear a sweater in. So I'm actually thinking about ordering enough of this color for my Wild Posey jumper. And then she released a beta pattern for the patrons that she's currently test knitting. She's like, it's her herringbone jumper. She hasn't named it yet. And I'm thinking that I would use, and then she's planning on releasing a cardigan version of it. And so I'm thinking of using this one for that. Would I be crazy if I ordered more yarn? I mean, I think the answer is yes. And I think if my husband watches this video and sees me talking about ordering more yarn, I think we might have a problem. Probably not as much as we did in the past, because now I have an actual studio where I can just throw everything into and close the door and he doesn't know about. But what do you guys think? I just think that the Wild Posey jumper is like so delicate and so nice that I kind of want to go for the lighter color. Because I'll say I would make the Flora version. So it's the lacy version. So these are the decisions I have to make. But now that I've fondled Plotulopi for about 1,000 years, let me show you what I started. So I actually started the Wild Posey hat. And so I had ordered another plate of the white. I ordered 2 plates of the white, knowing that one of them was going to be for the hat. So I actually started the hat, and I got pretty far in before I realized, and my hair is in here, before I realized that my gauge was really off. She had mentioned that she's a tight knitter, but I decided to go with her needle sizes anyway, just to see how it was without making a gauge swatch. And oh my god, there's so much hair in here. It's so gross. Hopefully you guys can't see that, but I decided to just go for it, and I didn't do a gauge swatch, which I know you're supposed to make gauge swatches, and I do for sweaters. I never gauge swatch for hats, or shawls. Anything that I'm not wearing on my body, I don't gauge swatch for. So my primary reason, besides the fact that I love the hat and I wanted to make the hat, and I want this hat to be like our trip hat, like not our trip hat, but like I wanted to wear this hat for our trip. I wanted it, besides that, I wanted it to be a gauge swatch for the Wild Posey jumper, because it's the same gauge. So I was like, well, if I get gauge on the hat, then I know I'll get gauge on the jumper, so then I don't have to do a gauge swatch for the jumper, you know. But yeah, as you can see, I started it, and my gauge was like massive. Like, I would put this on my head, but I have my hair clipped up because I went to the hair salon, so I could have washed my own hair, and it's very large. But it's like very big. My gauge was very big. You probably can't tell. But then, so then I was like, okay, I need to stop. At first I was like, maybe it's just the ribbing, but then as I got into the sweater, it was just like way too, into the hat, it was just way too big. So I actually restarted it, and I'm just like pulling out of this one and knitting the new one. Just one size needle down, and the difference is huge. So I know that now I'm gonna get gauged with the smaller needles. So I just finished my ribbing, and now I'll start the pattern, and then I still have this much of the plate left. So I'm really enjoying working with this yarn. It's really nice to work with like a more rustic yarn. And so that is my last whip that I have. I do technically have one FO, but I still have to weave in the ends. But this was the lupinous sweater that I was test knitting. So this test knit I did finish, and I submitted all my notes and everything. I just have to take the final pictures, but it's blocked, and this is how it turned out. And I love this, and this is gonna go with me to Arizona. The only thing I might do is once I try it on, I might shorten the sleeves a little further. I did shorten the sleeves already when I was knitting it, but I think I might shorten the sleeves a little bit more. But this turned out beautifully. So I just have to weave in my ends, and then it has a nice folded hem detail on the bottom, and then the sleeves just have a roped hem. And for this I used Cascade 220 Superwash, and I really, really love how this turned out. And this is one of those ones that the yarn, when I caked it up, side by side, they looked a lot closer in color. Then when I started to knit with it, then you could actually see the difference. So sometimes, even though yarns look very similar in color, just because of the tonal differences, or you know, once they're side by side, they might look a little different. So this actually looks a lot lighter when it's knit up than it did when it was in the hank. When it was in the hank, these two colors were almost identical. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up because my camera is telling me that it is low on battery. So I hope that you all enjoyed this knitting podcast episode. It is a very long one, and hopefully I'll have another one for you probably in the beginning of January, because I'll probably get a lot of my knitting done when we're away at the end of December. Okay, so my battery actually died, so I'm trying to remember where I left off. So let me take a sip here. So I'll plan to film another podcast episode probably in the beginning of January. I think I should have enough progress on all of my whips, have a few things done by then, especially since we're going away. And I'm gonna try to figure out what videos I can plan for you guys for the rest of the month, since I'm kind of my knitting is a little limited right now. So I am definitely going to do the sewing gifts for you guys. It's just 3 projects that I plan on making really quickly. So that one will be coming up, and I'm gonna plan on prepping for that one tonight. And then I'll have to think of a few other things for the rest of the month for you guys. But thank you if you have stuck around this long for watching. This has been a very, very long video. I didn't think that I was going to have a lot to share, but apparently I did when I started going around the apartment and trying to find things. I do have a few projects planned, like I want to make a Christmas dress and things like that, so I think I might have like a sewing what I've made video So we'll see what happens. But I hope that you enjoyed this one, and if you haven't already and you have enjoyed my videos so far, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like, and I will see you all next time. Say bye, Penny. Bye. Bye. Say bye. No. Say bye. Bye.